All right, everybody, welcome to the Work Hard, Play Hard podcast. I am your host, Ryan Harding, and today I got Clint Allred with me here. Clint's been in the business for about 4 years now. Right out of high school, he went into real estate, and he's been killing it, loving it, just really doing a good job here and stuff. And so, Clint, tell us, I gave you a little background there, I guess, for listeners, but tell us a little bit about yourself. How would you introduce yourself, I guess?
Yeah, for sure. No, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah.
I got in it right out of high school. I didn't waste any time. I tried college there for a second, but it didn't really work out.
So wasn't your thing. Hey,
okay. So I went right into real estate. Didn't waste any time and got my license right before I turned 19.
Okay.
And then just jumped in it full time, and I've been doing it full time ever since, and love it.
So why did you choose real estate? There's lots of other avenues, right? Why did you choose real estate?
Yeah, good question. I was a little backstory.
Yeah.
I ended up in the hospital when I was 17,
okay.
And I fought leukemia, cancer, and I didn't have anything to do in the hospital, so I had to kind of keep myself busy, and I ended up I've always had kind of a business mindset, how
Sure.
can I make money?
Yeah.
What's different avenues of doing that? So I started studying real estate, kind of learned about it a little bit, and I just fell in love with it. And I started my school while I was in the hospital. I started doing the school online.
Uh-huh.
And then I ended up just learning a little bit more about the investing side of things too, and just got my license and been going ever since.
Wow. So survivor of cancer. And one of the things that got you through it, I guess, was real estate.
Yeah, who would have
Is
thought?
that fair to say?
Yeah. For sure.
Not necessarily got you through it per se, but mentally at least, not getting bored.
It gave me something to do, and I was always, I've always tried to grow, and being stuck in just a little hospital room, I had to find stuff to keep me busy, and I just was trying to find ways that I was going to get out there and get back into the world, and real estate just so happened to come up one day, and I started learning about it and just took off from there.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so have you had success in real estate? Has it been good for you?
Yeah, I have. I would say so. I love it. It's definitely, getting started was a little bit harder than I anticipated, and I think that's.
It always is.
Yeah, you always hear like, oh, I'm gonna go out and make all this money. Real estate's great. Yeah. But it was difficult at first. I looked very young. I think I used that as like a limiting belief on my end, and I shouldn't have.
Sure.
But yeah, I got in it. I started kind of getting deals after about 3 months in the business, and then from there it just kind of tumbled down and started snowball effect almost.
Sure.
So yeah, it's been good. It's been really good to me so far.
And tell me about the success. Mostly sphere of influence, mostly lead generation. Like where are your deals coming from?
Yeah.
Where's you got this?
So when I first started in real estate, I tried everything, and I think a lot of agents do that. I didn't necessarily know what to focus on, so I tried to kind of dip my toes in everything to see what I liked.
Yep.
I have a big family and friend group, and it was sitting right in front of me, but I was doing all this other stuff. And once I started to kind of put my energy towards, caring for my family, caring for my friends, letting them know that I'm in real estate, that's when I really saw it started to kind of snowball effect again. So most of my business comes from my SOI. I'd say probably 90% of it, almost. And then I do a little bit of online leads. But that's about it.
But really,
referral-based SOI.
Okay. Which obviously is always the benefit of SOI is it's a lot easier you already have those connections with people, right? And then if you can network through those people to get other people, it's a good.
For sure, and that's why I love it. It's a lot easier for somebody to trust you, and I feel comfortable when they do put that trust in me to help them with that. So. It's been good. I love working with my SOI and my family too.
Well, so you've been in the industry 4 years. So obviously, last 4 years have been crazy. A lot of changes and stuff like that, right? So how are you? How would you say learning is important in this industry? Obviously you're young, still learning things. I assume you don't know it all yet, and the market keeps changing.
Yeah.
Right? So how important is learning in this environment?
I think it's super important, and luckily when I first started, I had some good mentors that I was able to kind of go under for a minute.
Sure.
I had some of my brokerage that taught me a lot, were able to take me in, and I think without that, I would not be where I am today. I can really say that. But I think it's in our best benefit to have our tools sharp for our clients.
Sure.
And I think if we're not doing that, then we're doing them a disservice. It's our job to know everything, the contracts inside and out, not everything, but know what to do and how to take them to the end goal.
Yeah.
And with all the change that's going on, I do think it's important to stay up to date on different strategies. I'm a big fan of negotiation. I always love learning about it and kind of the art of the deal.
Yeah.
So that's helped me to just have a curiosity about it.
Yeah.
But I think it's super important to make sure that you're getting your clients everything that they need.
Sure. Well, that's part, like you said, that's your job. Your role as a realtor is like, hey, I need to be an expert in this, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's why they're paying you to work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right, as opposed to somebody else. Well, so and so, how do you show them that you care? How do you what things do you do to show the love? Per se to clients.
Yeah, I always just really try to come from a place of gratitude. I feel like I myself was given a third shot at life.
Okay.
And not many people can really, that's not something that I take lightly.
Yeah.
And I try to make my clients understand that I care for them before I get into the real estate side of things. Doing that, I just try to build a relationship more on a personal level before a business level. And a lot of them are people that I know, and they know me and they trust me.
Sure.
So it's a little bit easier there, but I do think it's important that they know that I truly care before we get into the real estate side of things, whether that's buying or selling or investing.
I like that. Obviously being a cancer survivor, that gratitude would be there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It gives you a different outlook on life.
It gives you a different outlook. For sure it does. Well, okay, so switching gears a little bit. Obviously the market's shifted very quickly.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
What's your take on the current market right now? I guess what would you say the current market's doing?
So I do think it changed. It has changed in the last couple of months. Originally we were, for the past two or 3 years, we've been sitting right around 3,000, sometimes even less listings than that. And right now we're at about 9,000. So triple all in the span of just a few months. And I think there's a lot of fear going on in the market where, people aren't really sure what the economy's doing, and that's kind of holding people back. We saw the same thing with COVID when March rolled around in 2020, and the fear kind of stopped everybody from doing things. And I think that's where we're currently at. I think there's a huge opportunity right now for buyers to get into a home if we can, if we as agents and lenders can make sure that they're aware of what the pros and cons are right now, and obviously getting a good deal right now is a big thing too, just to make sure the prices aren't going the wrong way. But I think there's just a lot of opportunity right now. If I were to look at the market right now, I myself am going to try to buy at least a couple while the market is like this.
Sure.
I really think it's just an opportunity zone. And I think everybody that's been sitting on the fence for the past 2 or 3 years that weren't previously able to buy because of they didn't want to bid crazy or anything like that,
or they just couldn't get a house.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think if those people are listening, it's their time to really get into something right now. You can always refinance afterwards, but you can't buy at today's prices. So it's going to continue to go up. Utah is the #1 housing economy right now, and I really don't think there's going to be any big crash as maybe a lot of people think there is, and nobody has the crystal ball to say so, but Utah as a whole, we typically do a really good job of holding things together.
So and you kind of already answered this, I guess, but yeah, tell me so your forecast, obviously you think it's still a good time to buy, right?
Yeah.
If you're saying, hey, I myself am going to buy,
for sure,
right? So as far as the forecast for home prices, still doing well, kind of thing. Are you seeing some prices still come down a little bit?
Yeah.
talk to me about that, I guess, forecast.
Yeah, so I think what happened really when April, May rolled around, us as agents, we were pricing homes accordingly like we have been the past 2 years. And with that being said, we all have this mentality in our minds that homes were going fairly quickly.
Yeah.
So the pricing was a little bit, we could adjust it based on the demand,
Sure.
simple supply and demand.
Sure.
Right now, we start to see that demand slow at a very high rate.
Yep.
And, we're having more listings on the market. So we're going to have to lower our prices a little bit. That doesn't necessarily mean that home prices are dropping.
Okay.
It just means that us as agents are trying to adjust to what people are willing to pay for homes.
Okay.
And originally, people were bidding $50,000, $100,000 over sometimes in some cases, and right now we're just trying to adjust to what the market is actually demanding of us.
Okay, that's a good explanation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So still a good time to buy.
Yeah.
Yes, prices are coming down, but really more just list prices. It's not that the market is per se crashing or anything.
Yeah.
Like that,
Yeah, you see a lot of news articles that like to put it that way,
Sure,
unfortunately,
yeah.
and
That
that's
makes the news,
right, and that's what a lot of people see is these news articles that are coming out and saying that home prices plummeted.
Sure.
They like to use those big words.
Yeah.
But that's truly not the case right now. We are seeing people cutting prices a little bit just to get their homes sold. We're going back into a normal market, and we see this when we're at the tip top of the market. So as we adjust down to kind of a normal market, we will see prices kind of level out. But I definitely don't think we're going to see a big slash, 10-20% losses like we previously had in 08. So.
Okay. No, that's good. That's good. Shifting gears here a little bit, how did why do you like real estate as an investment yourself? Like why do you invest in real estate?
I love real estate. I don't think there's anything else out there like it. I became very intrigued with it at an early age, and I found ways to make it lucrative and really kind of looked into it more. So what I personally did was I house hacked my first home that I currently live in right now.
Okay.
And what I did was I found it was in 2020.
Yep.
I took a big risk because here I am 2 years in the business thinking that my career is about to what's going to happen.
Yeah, especially in 2020 when we know what happened.
Exactly. Right? Yeah. So I just was like, what, I gotta take a risk. We've got to do something.
Yep.
So we ended up buying a home in Eagle Mountain. I found it off market. Both the properties that I bought were both off market, and I found something with a basement apartment. Kind of a setup where I could rent that out and live upstairs. So I found that. My mortgage was about $2,000. I rented my basement out for $750, and I was paying $1,200 a month to live in my home. And luckily, right now, we're not doing that right now. We've got some family down there, but that's what I did. That was the goal in mind.
Sure.
And it was really easy to try to find a place that had a setup like that. So that's what we did, and we're just going to kind of snowball effect it. So we're going to buy another one, live in it for a year, buy another one and live in it, and then just try to move as many times as we can.
And so explain that. So why live in it for a year? What's the purpose behind that?
Yeah, so I think honestly, if I could move sooner, I totally would.
Yeah.
If the banks would allow me to move sooner, I would. But when you get a loan, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but when you're buying a home as a primary residence, the bank's going to want you to live in it for 6 to 12 months, depending on circumstances and everything like that.
Yeah.
Typically a year.
Typically, you're correct.
But so we're just gonna we bought it as a primary residence. We were able to get a better interest rate because we did that. We bought it, and then we were going to live in it for a year, and then just kind of rinse and repeat. You can have a good amount of, I think, 10 properties under your belt before you have to start getting partners involved and everything like that. So we're going to try to get 10 properties in 10 years. That's the goal in mind that we have. If I can convince my wife to be on board, to be on board with that.
That's a big part of it, for sure.
But yeah, I mean that's really the goal behind it, is just move every year. It's a very lucrative way to gain properties without having to put 20-25% down every single time you buy something.
So because you're owner occupying it,
Correct. Yeah.
and you're saying, I'm going to live there for a year, you get a better interest rate then.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And then you're also saying, okay, hey, I'm owner occupying it, so there's lower down payment loans. So you're not
Exactly.
putting 20-25% down.
Yeah. So instead of putting 20 to 25% down for this, we only had to put 5% down,
Perfect. Yeah.
which was really helpful.
Sure.
And if you're going to do this process a lot, it's a very easy way to build up properties without having a bunch of cash to do so.
Perfect. Yeah. And so obviously, a good way to build wealth with houses, right? Kind of slowly once a year. That big caveat is, hey, you have to have a spouse that's willing to move with you. Right?
Yeah, I try to talk her into it, so we'll see.
We'll see how long you get.
Yeah. Once kids get involved.
10 years, I like. 10 houses in 10 years, I like.
Yeah.
But once kids, exactly.
Yeah.
Because then you got friends and different things like that, and so
we're gonna stack them up until we have kids, and then I'm gonna try to convince her more, and we'll see how far it goes.
Keep going as far as you can.
Yeah.
So is that the way you did it, buying it owner occupied? Is that kind of what you'd suggest to maybe a newer investor, somebody that's looking to get into this?
For sure.
Is that one of the best ways to get into real estate investing?
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think. I think it's overcomplicated sometimes. I think people try to do, if you can find these BRRRR methods, I'm sure a lot of people know that, buy, rehab, refinance, repeat.
Sure.
If you can do that, then great, but it doesn't need to be that complicated to where you're not buying something specifically just because you're waiting for that right moment. If you can find something where you can buy it, you can live there for a year, and you're comfortable with moving, I truly think house hacking like that is going to be the easiest way to get properties. Obviously, interest rates, payments are going to change.
Sure.
The cash flow might not be as good as if you put 20 to 25% down.
Sure.
But in Utah, where we're an appreciation state, in 10 years, you're going to be sitting on a lot of equity that you can go and, retire with or do whatever you'd like to with it. So I think that's the easiest way to get started if you're a first-time home buyer and you're looking to, kind of build your portfolio. I think that's really the easiest way to get started with it. And I try to advocate all my clients that are my age and want to get into it like that, because I believe in it myself and I've seen it work.
Yep.
I'm doing it right now, and it's been really good to me. So.
And this would work for somebody that's married or single?
For sure. Yeah. If you're single, I've had friends rent out every bedroom in their house and have their mortgage paid for.
Yep.
If you're comfortable with doing that, you can buy it with friends if you'd like to.
Sure.
You can have your parents co-sign, if you don't have 2 years work history, or there's some type of dilemma in financing, you can have your parents co-sign with you and get into a home that way as well and refinance off and in a couple years and get them off the title. So.
Perfect. Okay. No, great advice. I've seen it many times myself, and in hindsight, I wish I would have done that as a young college student.
Yeah.
Although I got married pretty quickly, so so then I would have had to get my wife on board.
Yeah. A little hard, yeah.
So, but okay, and just briefly, traditional rentals versus nightly rentals. Do you have an opinion on that?
Yeah. So what I did was my primary residence I live in now, I had quite a bit of equity over the last couple of years. We bought it in 2020. Right now we have enough equity that we were able to get a HELOC on it, home equity line of credit.
Okay.
Went to the bank, got one of those, and ended up putting 20% down on a condo next to BYU. Okay. It was previously used as a nightly rental. Okay. We bought it with the intention of using it as a nightly rental as well. We did that for about 4 to 5 months. Okay. Ended up switching over to just long term.
Tell me about that. Tell me
so personally, it would have to be very lucrative for me to do nightly rentals. I was self-managing it. Me and my wife were doing it. We were going over there and cleaning when people were checking out, and we were doing all of it ourselves. I would suggest getting a property manager, making sure that can fit into the cost of what you're making each month. But when we did it, we had the idea that we would make more money doing nightly rentals than we would just doing long term. With it being a condo next to BYU, we were a little worried that people weren't going to come, but we actually had a good amount of people show up. It was just the cost to run it is a little bit more than just a long-term tenant where you just kind of put them in there and you don't really have to worry about it as much. And I like that fact just because I'm more focused on my real estate business than being a property manager.
Sure.
So for me right now, I think long-term is the way to go unless it was a property that I'm making significant cash flow on. Okay. The numbers would just have to add up. I'd say at least, $600-$700 plus a month in cash flow in order to make it worth it. Gotcha. After all expenses.
You were saying when you were doing it, you had more expenses then. Define those.
So
not necessarily a number, but what additional expenses were you incurring?
I think, a lot of it was my time, because I look at my time as being, very valuable, especially with what I'm doing. And when I found myself over there and I've got clients on the phone with me and I'm trying to clean my condo for the next people to come in, it was taking some of my time. The cleaning cost, the turnover cost, just the damage that was done.
Sure.
I actually had somebody fire off a firearm in my Airbnb.
Oh, wow. Shot
out the window, and that was the point where I was like, I'm gonna go to long term. Gotcha. And it was an accident, it had never I thought I had seen a lot, but that was that happened, and that was just kind of the point where I was like, you know what, this is a condo area. It was a top floor condo.
Sure.
I don't want the people below me complaining. I don't want to have to go explain to the neighbors that somebody just accidentally fired a firearm in my condo. So it was definitely a good experience, and I think everybody, if you're wanting to get into the rental game, should experience it, because it demands your attention, and you get to learn a lot from it. You get to learn the number side of things. You get to understand why people are coming, who's coming to stay at the Airbnb.
Sure.
And if you're okay with putting in the time to do so, then it can definitely make you more money than just traditional long-term tenants.
No, that's good advice. I own two rentals myself, long-term nightly rentals, two nightly rentals, but they're both bigger homes, resort town area, right? And they're doing really well. So I like hearing your perspective, because sometimes I get asked, hey, should I do a nightly rental, and maybe locally here, Utah and stuff like that, and I don't have enough knowledge to say, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but that's interesting, your take on it with, especially with a condo, that's obviously the cheapest money, right?
For sure.
The cheapest rental,
for sure.
right? Whereas my house is like $30, so charging a little bit more, right, than what a condo would charge.
Exactly.
But I like hearing your take on that. That's good. So So a couple questions, going back to the market and stuff like that, and just, to different groups of people. What advice would you have to, say first-time home buyers right now that are just entering the market?
Yeah.
What advice do you have for them?
I would say, right now, first-time home buyers have a big opportunity, like I said, and I think that's the biggest thing that we can see right now. Everybody that was waiting the last 2 or 3 years, this is what they were waiting for.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people not wanting to take action on it because they're worried about what the market's going to do.
Sure.
If you can afford your monthly payment and you feel comfortable paying it, 100% I advocate to try to buy something right now. I believe in home ownership. I think it's a great thing that everybody should be able to experience and have a home under your belt. Honestly, what I would say is just, if you're wanting to buy a home right now, as long as you can afford the monthly payment and you're not getting ahead of yourself, you have a stable job, I think it's a great time to buy. Interest rates, I'm sure they're going to go down in the next, couple years at least. They can refinance out of that, lower their payment, maybe pull some cash out and pay off some debt or whatever they need to do. But I do think it's a great time to buy. I wouldn't necessarily focus on what prices are doing. Because here in Utah, we are more stable. Everywhere else is going to feel a little bit more of a hit. But Utah has, year over year shown that we are a strong state for housing, and our economy is one of the top 5. And I think it's just a good time to try to get into something if you can.
What about for sellers? What advice do you have for sellers right now?
Sellers, I would say it depends on your situation. A lot of people, there's creative ways to go about doing certain things that sellers are wanting right now.
Sure.
if there's a specific number that they have in mind, and for some reason that can't be met or anything like that, because it is changing a little bit, look at the possibility of doing a refinance for something that you're looking for, or renting it out. And that's where I think our jobs as agents is to come in and evaluate what needs to be done.
Sure.
Would I like to sell your home and you come to me and say, yeah, I want to sell my home? Of course, I would love to, That's my job to. But it's also my job to come in and say, well, what's going to make you the best return on your money? What's going to get you the most money? What's going to help your situation the best? And see which one those are, and kind of weigh out the pros and cons of each one of them. Because a lot of times there is different ways that sellers can get what they want in a different way, rather than just selling their property off, depending on what they're wanting to do. I'm dealing with a divorce situation right now, and we had to come up with some creative financing to where, not financing, but just being creative on the end of, do you want to buy them out? Here's how you can do that. Here's how we can keep your payment low. Take some cash out, pay them off. So just creative ways to go about it.
What about for people building homes? Should they build a home? Should they wait? I've seen prices come down.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that?
For sure. Yeah, great question. No, I think building right now is in a very unique spot. I would definitely weigh out your options with building. If you are planning to buy in 12 months to a year, I think building can be a great option. Reason being is you have some time to maybe save some money. You can lock in a price right now, and then 12 months from now close on your property. 8 to 12 months close on your property. You can lock in the price. The interest rate situation, that might be a little bit more tricky. A lot of people are worried about interest rates right now, so maybe finding a good lock option, or seeing what your lender can do with locking a rate in early. But interest rates could be lower in 12 months. Unfortunately, we don't have that crystal ball that's going to tell us what's going to happen. But either way, you're going to have a home. You're going to be building equity. It's better than paying rent. 100% of rent is still 100% of rent. So
correct, interest only, right?
Yeah. So I think it's a great avenue whichever way you go. It really just depends on what your situation is.
Gotcha. As we kind of get to the end here, any favorite stories from working in the industry? Any things stand out to you story-wise?
No, I mean I've seen quite a bit of unusual stuff, and sold some really cool properties where it's been to help people. I really just try to go into every single deal just wanting to help somebody.
Sure.
I think that is where. I don't chase the money aspect of it. Yep. The money will follow. Yep. But every time I go into a deal, I always try to just let them know that I care for them first, and get them ready for what's about to happen and what's to come, and really just try to focus on helping them out as much as I can. That's my job, and that's why I'm there. But I don't have any crazy
that's fine.
Any crazy stories. I'm trying to think if I maybe have anything, but
what about people that want to get a hold of you and stuff like that? What's the best way to reach you?
Yeah, so if anybody wants to reach out to me, my Instagram, I have an Instagram account. It's just at Clint Allred _. You can reach me there. My contact information is on there as well, so anybody can contact me that way. And I mean, honestly, if anybody has questions about buying, selling, the investment side of things, I'd be happy to kind of show you what your options are, because I think there is a lot of opportunity out there right now. Sure. I myself, like I said, I'm going to try to buy some, and I wouldn't tell anybody to do something that I wouldn't. So.
Fair enough. Yeah.
But yeah, Instagram, phone, call, text, anything.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Clint, thanks for coming on. It's been educational for sure. I like that you're an investor yourself, and you buy your own product per se.
Yeah.
Right? If you're selling cupcakes, hey, I like those cupcakes, right? So
exactly.
It's something that you believe in, and obviously you've done well in, and experimenting and stuff like that. I can see a bright future for you as far as continuing to do real estate. So
awesome.
Well, thanks everybody for listening. As always, it's a weekly podcast, and we appreciate all those that support us. And listen to us and write a review for us. Like us on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok and any other platforms we're on here. So, but LinkedIn, all those places. So, anyhow, thanks guys. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.